Hey guys, welcome to a very special episode of the Learn Feng Shui podcast. Today I come to you in video form. For those of you watching on Spotify, you can finally see me today. And for those of you listening to the podcast, I'll have a episode this replay available on YouTube as soon as this is up also on Spotify. So today I'm going to talk about the yearly energies coming in for the Year of the Dragon 2024. So we're going to be looking at the best and worst sectors, flying stars best sectors and flying stars worst sectors for 2024 Year of the Dragon. And of course, I'm Candace Berlang, a certified feng shui practitioner and red ribbon professional with the International Feng Shui Guild. Of course, the host of the Learn Feng Shui podcast, and you can find me at learnfengshui.com. Let's go ahead and get into the energy for 2024. So, looking just first off at what we can kind of expect for 2024, the Lunar New Year starts February 10th. And so, this does denote the second new moon after the winter solstice. So, that's what kind of brings that energy in. And of course, we're going to the Year of the Dragon. But before that, we don't have to wait for the new year to shift because starting February 4th, this actually begins the solar new year. And this is known as the beginning of the new solar cycle, Li Chun, and the beginning of spring. And so even before February 10th, this energy does come in and we will see that shift already. And so this is when the energy for feng shui changes. And this is when the dragon actually comes in and the governing energy of the dragon shifts in, and we see that happen. So, one of the things we can look at when we look at things that we might see this year, what's going to set the tone for the year is to look back at history. And so, 60 years ago was the last wood dragon energy. And so, we had a lot of things happening during this time. All right. When we look at the energy for the year, one of the things we can do is look back at the cycle that of the wood dragon, where that was before previously in history, and some notable events that happened that year, and that might set the tone for this year. And so, one of the things that we saw in 1964 was the Equal Rights. The Equal Rights Act was passed in 1964, making it illegal to discriminate against people based on their gender identity and a religion. And so that was really revolutionary act that was passed here in the United States. Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964, and Martin Luther King is, of course, social rights activist. And Reverend beloved here in the United States. For those of you that don't know, we just passed Martin Luther King's birthday. January 15th is a holiday. 1964 was also a time of major societal change, change in music with Beatlemania and the British, what was called the British invasion. There was a ushering that in, and it was called the last year of innocence because of that. I think the Equal Rights Act, it really did push women into coming out of that 1950s housewife type of environment and wanting to go to work and contribute and just wanting something for themselves. And so it really was a shift in culture in 1964. It was like a pivotal part of our time in society, at least here in the US. And so one thing you can do too is look back at 60 years ago in your country and see what some notable events were. And you can kind of draw the conclusion that some similar things might happen this year. And so we may see, I think, more marginalized or minority groups speaking out and wanting equal rights. I think it's always a good thing when people say, like, hey, I demand my rights. And so remember that a large group can make noise. And so when a bunch of small groups of people come together, you can make a large group and you can make a lot of noise and you can stand up for what you believe in. So I think that that is a good thing that's going to happen this year. And then we have, let's see here, just the energy of the wood dragon. So looking at the energy of the yang wood, the jaw. So the yang wood is the beginning of a new cycle, and it doesn't denote the start of spring. That's why the new year, the solar year, the lunar new year, it does start in February because that's the Yongwood month. It's kind of shown to us by that tiger energy. February is the month of the tiger, and it does represent the beginning of a new cycle. And so, anytime you see that Yongwood, that means that we're starting some sort of new cycle. And then just the dragon in general. Supernatural occurrences and events are really prevalent during dragon years. And so it could be a year where we see that kind of, you'll notice, hey, there's, weird occurrences or events happening, or I've noticed more, feeling more, spiritual. And of course, synchronicities can be at a higher rate this year. So really keep your eye out for that in this year of the wood dragon. So now let's take a look at or actually look at the best sectors first and look at the flying stars for 2024. All right, guys, now looking at the flying stars for 2024, a yearly cures and activations. So I did this much the same way that I did the new newsletter, and I'm going to kind of go over that. So just here's a quick glance, a quick reference. You can see the little icons here. These are areas you want to cure, and that's what you can place there. You don't necessarily have to place that there. You can place your favorite feng shui cure or your favorite feng shui activation in these good sectors. And so we kind of break it up that way. So remember that we do apply yearly remedies and enhancements February 4th or after, because remember that new year comes in February 4th, and you can actually just leave that up until 2025. So these are yearly flying star enhancements and cures that you can leave up for the entire year, okay? So when you look at it, you don't have to activate every sector. So looking at your yearly goal and then matching supporting flying stars for your goal can help you get results, okay? So for example, we're going to use the Northwest that has the 4 Academy star. And so you can I literally just use that sector to study or to work. And there you go. You can place your feng shui activation there also. And then you do your correspondence studying and it helps you get there, okay? When we look at the negative flying stars, much like the positive stars, you don't have to cure every sector. Just place a cure in the sector that you spend the most time in, or if a negative star happens to fall there, okay? So at your front door, in your work office or desk, in your kitchen or bedroom, those are areas you might want to cure. And for more advanced reading, if you do the GWA number, you can definitely look at your GWA number and look at the flying star combination in that sector. And if a negative combination falls there, then you're going to probably want to cure that area, okay? All right, now flying stars. Let's look at the best flying stars that we want to enhance. So off the bat, we have 5 flying stars that are really good, okay? So flying stars 1, 4, 6, 8, and 9 are all considered very positive. So we're going to enhance these with feng shui activations, meaning that you can move the energy or chi in the area and you just keep that circulating, okay? So you can do that with a fan, an aquarium, a candle, moving objects, or just using the sector for working, studying, cleaning it, and decluttering it. That will all activate the area. And you can kind of pick the only time I will denote something is there is some areas you don't want to have water, but definitely the north is usually, that's always a sector you can have water because it's a water palace, okay? So you can use any of these. And then the fire, I like to stick to fire in the noted sectors also, but definitely a fan and water and using the area are all really good ways to activate it. All right, so starting with flying star number 1, we have what is called the authority star, okay? Let's hide that. Okay, so we have what is called the authority star. The number 1 water star does enhance the wood of the east, and the 1 in the east is generally used for good career progression. Okay, and it helps you like almost want to attack things or to be a go-getter. Not attack, be a go-getter. Okay, so Gua threes also have good career potential for 2024. So working in the sector, doing a feng shui activation is very good in for the East for 2024, and it is a very vibrant sector, so it's highly recommended that you use it. Yeah, for career progression, number 1 star is generally pretty good. Number 4 flying star is called the academic star, and it does move to the northwest or the Gua 6. So the energy there for the year is actually pretty good here. So we get the 4 Academy star, and after a year of keeping the Northwest quiet, we're actually able to enhance the area and use it to further your studies, especially for the male head of the household or the Gua 6. And so you can use the sector to study or do a feng shui activation. So nothing more to say about that there. Flying star number 6, the Lux star. So that lands in Gua 8, and this is probably one of my favorite sectors for the year here, the Northeast. It falls in Gua 8. So number 6, Lux star does visit the Northeast for a lucky 8-6 combination. This is a highly sought after combination in Feng Shui flying stars. This can bring career advancement and opportunity working in the sector. It will bring good results. So those looking at investing in assets can use this sector, and the Gua 8s can tap into this also, especially in September when joined by the monthly 1 star. So working in the sector and doing a Feng Shui activation should be quite good. So when we think about the connotation of the 8, which is like a mountain, and the 6, which is a yang metal, it's like treasure in a mountain and quite good to use for the year. So boop, use the Northwest sector. It's fairly auspicious for the year. So flying star number 8, the Wealth Star does go into Gual or the North, and the Wealth Star is always a welcome sight. Use this sector to secure more work, contracts, place employees here for the year. So this does make more work and not necessarily more money. The connotation of Earth in the North, with the water palace there, is Earth controlling water. And so it does indicate there could be bladder related issues or kidney related issues for Gual 1s. So be cautious of that if you're a Gual 1. And then if you work in a sector that's quite good, and enhance it also with a Feng Shui activation. Number 9, flying star, spiritual and happiness star, does go into the Southwest Guatu. So the Flying Star 9 and the fire energy is front and center this year with the entrance of period 9. And the 9 in the Southwest can be particularly positive for the matriarch in the family or the Guatu. And this usually does denote a rise in status or authority with aforementioned people. And the 9 star can help renew your zest for life and find renewed passion and inspiration. And so you can use that if you feel like you've been a little bit down also. This would be a good sector to work in, just to spend time in, and you can enhance with a Feng Shui activation. And it is noted that you shouldn't sleep here if you are pregnant, because the fire feeding the earth is like a hidden, um, something hidden and growing. And so you want to make sure that it could be like a hidden problem if you sleep here while pregnant. So let's not do that. Okay. All right, so yearly activations and cures. Let's look at the cures here. So challenging sectors here. We're going to want to look at flying stars number 2 and 5. Those are considered usually the most negative, and flying stars 3 and 7, I consider a little bit more neutral in my opinion. But sometimes they can cause annoying issues, or they can be aggressive depending on where they land, as the 2 and the 5 can be. So all of them can actually kind of be neutral depending on where they stay. And generally, we only focus on 2 and 5 because it's believed they have the most impact. Okay. They kind of tend to be the most aggressive. So cures can include saltwater cures, charms with 6 coins, because the 6, it does represent the yang metal. So you want to stick to that. Metal weights, and some different practitioners have different kind of criteria for what size metal and everything to put, or how many to put. So you can follow, if you follow another practitioner there, you can follow their advice. I tend to I've kind of gotten away from that because I tend to use more of the coins or saltwater cures. It's just a little easier to use, and I think they work just fine. And so various adjustments to the sector. If you use like Wooloo gourds for the number 2, that's perfectly fine. Use what you use, okay? So keep the sector quiet and avoid rearranging the furniture often also, because the flying stars are what is called a heaven chi, and flying stars are activated by movement and motion. So we want to avoid movement and motion area. So if you can avoid rearranging your furniture, then do that. For one, I had my living room in the southeast, my TV, my family room was there. And all I did was move my TV in family room to a different sector before February 4th. Already moved it, and now I don't have to worry about curing the area. I'll probably stick a salt cure there, but I'm not going to worry about like overly using and activating the area, because we've kind of vacated that area of the house. All right, so Flying star number two, illness star. So southeast, that's going to be your Gua 4. So the illness star does move there, and you can stick a saltwater cure here. So the energy there is the number two star does have the potential to create some issues because it is accompanying the Grand Duke and the five Tiger Shaw for the year. And so children and elderly should not sleep there. I did have a client that a family member was having nightmares and some other issues, and when I looked, I realized they were sleeping in the Grand Duke. This was a couple years ago. And so they're actually sleeping in that Grand Duke sector. And they moved them, I had them just readjust the bed within the sector because they were right in it. And those nightmares did stop. And so it could cause issues like that. And with elderly, it could cause some health issues. So let's not sleep there. And again, you can mitigate it by just keeping the area quiet and placing a salt cure or your other preferred items there for the year and just leave them there. Flying star number three, quarrelsome conflict star, does fall right in the center. And so the center, some people, use this energy. It's not a gua. I've heard you're not supposed to use it. I don't really, in my opinion, you don't need to activate it or do anything to it. And so the center three star it sits there commanding the other stars, and it does set the tone for this year. And so this year may bring increased conflict, and is just indicated by the name, but it can be great for the go-getter or person that is willing to go after what they want and even fight for their place there. So it can also benefit the individual that plays defensive, aggressive, or extreme sports, and also occupations like lawyers or personalities that get paid to create conflict. And so just there's no cure for it or anything like that. At least I don't. I say no. And so just self-awareness to keeping your anger in check. But it is an energy of it's a dominant energy, dominating presence that, again, it's the three is the yang wood. And so it does represent conflict and quarrels and stuff like that. But if you're a person that thrives on that and your occupation is something like that, where you go with the conflict, you argue, or you take extreme risks, could be really good for you. So it just kind of sets a tone for the year. Number five, flying star is called the disaster star. And so it does go to the north. Oh, sorry, it goes to the west. I forgot to change that there. It does go to the west. But the five star in the west does indicate the possibility of a respiratory issue, food related issues and illness, or gossip and rumors for the Gua 7. And so you can place a saltwater cure there or weights if it's in your bedroom, or if your front door is located in the sector, you're going to want to cure it. But other than that, it is what it is, it is what it is. But if you are Gua 7, do be careful this year about where you're eating and stuff like that. Because that does have the potential to cause, like it indicated, the respiratory food or this rumor spreading. So be cautious of that. In some cases, it does indicate legal issues. Okay. So the legal and dispute star number seven, flying star, does go to the south. And despite the name, it doesn't always cause disputes or legal issues. It's more in the form, again, of like petty rumors and gossip. Okay. So the seven star is moving to the south, and it can signify problems with the females in the household getting along, because these are both a female energy. So the south, the Gua 9, the number 9 is like a older female maybe, and the 7 indicates a younger girl. And so it could be people in the house not getting along, females in the household not getting along, and miscommunications with mother-daughter relationships for the female Gua 9. So if you are a Gua 9, maybe you'll have some communication issues this year. Sometimes it could represent maybe even like bullying, if you have two daughters, maybe they're not getting along very well. So this can be this issue too. But generally, the 9 is a little bit older female, and the 7 is a quite young girl. So this can also warn us of fire-related accidents. So do be careful with this sector and check smoke and fire detectors. Just generally, you just want to do that anyway. And so make sure that everything is safe in that area. And you can mitigate this by keeping the sector quiet and placing a salt cure if your bedroom's here. Avoid arguments in this sector. All right, yearly Shas and no renovation sectors for 2024. So we do have a few energies mostly affecting the southeast, the south, and the southwest. So kind of that south area of your home, you're going to want to avoid renovations. And these are energies that are only activated through the renovation, digging, groundbreaking, replacing floors, heavy movement, such as rearranging furniture and dragging furniture too often. And so if you're dragging very heavy furniture because it hits the floor, these are called Earth Shas. And so these do affect the earth. If you notice, they are all with the zodiac signs. And so with the zodiac, starting with the zodiac sign of dragon, we have the Grand Duke and Five Tiger Shah for the year. With the zodiac sign of the snake within the home, we do have the robbery Shah. Um, and then the south and the horse there has the injury and illness Shaw. And then the southwest has what's called the disaster Shaw. And so the southeast, south, and southwest do play host to what is called the three killings. And it sounds terrible, but it will not kill you. So what it is it kind of related to like having like three bandits. So the robbery Shaw will cause monetary loss. Two, the second one will be injury and illness or like a bodily harm, and then the disaster Shaw is just accidents happening. And so they just say it's like three bandits, coming to steal something. And so we do want to avoid those sectors. And of course, the southeast, you want to avoid with that dragon energy there. And then the west, we have the five yellow disaster star. And so we just don't want to renovate there. And then right next door in the northwest, sitting with the dog, is going to be the year breaker, the soy po. And so we don't want to dig there or renovate there either. And so it should be quite fine. If you have an emergency that you need to do renovations, contact a date selection professional. This is something I do also. I know last year I actually replaced the fence in my backyard, and I did it while the five-star was there because it was under a very specific condition. And so there's I think there's a saying in Feng Shui. It says the good Feng Shui practitioner knows all the rules, but a master knows when to break the rules. And I knew when to break the rules to replace my fencing in the five-star last year. So, and it turned out just fine. We had one little mishap with a water leak, but other than that, we were just fine. All right, guys. So if you need help selecting a date, go, check that out. If you need a free energy mapping of your space, I do that too. Go to learnfengshui.com and check out the Learn Feng Shui podcast for all things feng shui. I do monthly energy updates also. And of course, I do have a year of the Dragon Zodiac forecast coming up, and that will be available for replay also up on YouTube if you missed that. But I'd really like you to come live, and so you can register on the website at learnfengshui.com on the events page. That'll be January 21st. If you see this before then, or if you hear before then, please come join me. But this PDF is available. The yearly guide is available on the website learnfengshui.com. So go check that out. And I'll catch you guys not next week, but in February for February energy update for the very first monthly energy update for the year of the dragon.